Hi, I'm Jennifer Takaki. Welcome to this edition of the Pickle Club TV. We're in Soho, New York, which is known for not only its upscale shopping, but also as an artist colony. So we are in the house of the author of Well Preserved. Her name is Eugenia Bone, and she's going to teach us the ins and outs of canning as she makes her pickled asparagus.
So we're going to have pickled asparagus, and the way I like to do it at the same time as you're cooking whatever is in season, for dinner. So instead of buying 1 pound of asparagus to eat for dinner tonight, I bought 2 pounds. There's 2 kinds of canning for the shelf. Water bath canning, which is boiling for a prescribed amount of time, and pressure canning, which is using controlled steam to bring the temperature up high enough. Many pickled foods can be safely water bath canned, and it'll kill or sterilize spoilers, fungi, yeasts, molds, and bacteria. Those are the ones that spoil food. And when we pickle, we are acidifying. We are creating that acidic environment that the spoilers don't like. And you can go onto the internet and find USDA pH counts for all the vegetables and fruits and stuff, and it'll tell you. If the pH is higher than 4.6, you can't water bath can it unless you acidify it. We're going to do a simple pickle, pickled asparagus, and I'm not doing anything fancy. It's a real straight up recipe. These are the parts of the jar: the glass jar, the band, and a flat lid with a rubberized flange. You can reuse the jars and the bands, but you cannot reuse the lids. If it's used once, it's just not going to seal again as well. So new lids, you buy these in 12 packs. I've sterilized this jar. You boil it for 10 minutes. So what we do with the lid is you don't boil it. You don't need to sterilize it, but you do need to soften that rubberized flange. Depending on the size of jar you have, you cut to fit into your jar. I use these little tops because all the stems I'm going to make soup later. So I'm just going to blanch these. The idea being that if you blanch them, it stops the enzymatic action and will hold color. Once it comes back up to a boil, I will put them on this ice and we'll let them cool. So we're just packing in these nice little blanched asparagus bits, but ideally you're going to really tuck them in so that they have a minimum amount of floating. So then I have a little vinegar and water solution. You cannot use like a homemade vinegar when you're pickling unless you know the acidity is 5% or greater, because the acetic acid is what does the job of preserving. So you don't want to boil. There's some salt in here, some garlic, hot pepper flakes. I've got various little seeds, cumin seed. All that flavoring is personal. And then cover it with the solution. Sometimes you have to look for air pockets that can be formed. You want to make it as easy as possible for the heat to push all the air out. So you need anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch of headroom at the top. You have to have some place for the liquid to boil up. You wipe the rims. You set on the lid that's got this softened rubberized flange, but you don't want to hard boil this because, to be honest, the flange is not very thick. Then you screw on the band, fingertip tight. Okay? Fingertip tight. This is important. If you crank it, then you make it much harder for the air to escape. It can undermine your seal. Then you put it into the water bath canner. Then we're going to put on the heat. We're going to bring this to a boil. 10 minutes of boiling at 212 degrees. Okay. The tables for processing times come from the USDA. Right. And you can find them. There's this great website, Preserving Food Safely. So you can just go to asparagus, and it'll tell you, 10 minutes in a water bath, for pints, etc. And you'll notice that I'm using a rack. The reason why that's preferable whenever you can is because you want the heat to circulate all the way around. I usually give it a few minutes to rest, then we'll take it out, and then it'll cool. And as the jar cools, the cooling stage is part of the canning stage. it completes the vacuum process. And when the vacuum is done, the jar, like sucks right down and seals, and you've created a vacuum. And I'm going to show you the difference between a jar that's not sealed and sealed. Here, can you hear that? Unsealed. Then you have the sealed. It's sucked down. You take off the band. You only need the band to hold down the lid in processing. You don't need it to store. But you see, look. So they'll float, and that's fine. Then they'll settle down, and then they'll hold for quite a while. It takes a couple of weeks for pickled products to really mellow in flavor. I like to make pickled asparagus with eggs. You sort of create this ongoing, evolving ecosystem of foods that you can use. And really the trick to tasty food is seasonal, local, as many homemade components as possible.
That does it for another edition of the Pickle Club TV. I'm Jennifer Takaki. Thank you for watching.